How you doing? This is Andrew with Reptiles Unlimited in Deer Park, New York. Just want to go over some of the projects that we come across as a small pet store focusing on reptiles and tropical fish. This is one of the most common issues, and everybody that has a bearded dragon knows that their enclosure, their tanks, the environment that you keep them in, the vivarium, can get really dirty really fast. And a dirty enclosure can lead to all sorts of health problems, and keeping it clean is a big challenge. So today what we're going to do is we're going to install a padded linoleum type flooring that we purchased at Home Depot. It was very inexpensive. We're going to be replacing the sand that we used when we first set up the shop. A lot of people use sand. For the younger dragons, sand can be a problem, especially for leopard geckos and other species. So we're going to eliminate the sand today from this enclosure. It tends to hold a lot of the urea that the animals produce. So this is going to be not only a fun project, but long term it's going to be much healthier and much safer for the animal. The first step is to remove the decorations. It's probably a good time to clean them. Usually, depending upon the size of the dragons and the amount of dragons that you have, a full clean out is recommended every 2 to 3 months, with smaller cleanings and wipe downs in between. So this is considered a major overhaul because we're going to take everything out and it's going to get cleaned thoroughly. We're going to have a bin that we put to the side to put our dishes in, and we're actually going to use a shop vac to remove the current substrate that's in there. Sand has its advantages for larger dragons. It pulls down the moisture away from the animal, trapping it almost like a litter box for a cat. It could be scooped relatively easily and safely, especially by a younger individual in the house that's learning how to take care of pets. However, in the long run, the younger, smaller animals can ingest the sand, so it's not recommended for youngsters, for the younger animals. Once the decorations are removed, we're going to go to step 2, which is removing the substrate with the shop vac. Okay, so now for the fun part. I recommend using a shop vac. In this case, not sure if you can see it because I have it plugged in. We have the bucket head from Home Depot. It's great, hooks up to a 5-gallon pail, so you could dump whatever is done at the end of your cleaning session right out in the trash. And then what we recommend is taking the bucket and spraying it down with a specialized cleaner at the end so that it kills any germs, bacteria, or diseases that might be in the substrate. Now, chances are your tank at home is going to be nothing like what would be in a pet store. At a pet store, because of the turnover of animals and the amount of animals that are kept, the substrates can start to really build up a lot of waste, and sometimes diseases can be introduced. So part of the husbandry and good practice, especially at a pet store level, is using a product like F10. F10 is a veterinary disinfectant. It kills different levels of bacteria that rubbing alcohol or bleach may not be able to eradicate. I'll put a link in the below the video so that you can get more information about it. It comes in different strengths, and there's only a limited amount of places to acquire it online. And it's very important because the animals, and the enclosures really can start to carry some different types of fungus and bacteria that may be hard to kill. So we're going to use this in the proper dilution. We have it in a small cosmetic spray bottle. So once I remove the substrate, not only am I going to sanitize the tank itself, at the end, once I discard the substrate out of the bucket of the shop vac, that's going to get sanitized as well. Okay, so once you use the shop vac to get all the sand out in a really dirty tank like what we have here, this tank we had at the store since the beginning. We've had the sand in for about 3 months, and now that we're finally tearing it down, we see that there's some residual stuff that's stuck in the tank itself. So what we're going to do is just going to loosen it up with some just regular water, just to make it easier to wipe out. Plus, from misting and from feeding and them splashing in their water, they tend to get some hard water spots on the side of the enclosures. So it's nice to just kind of loosen everything up just with some regular tap water. And then we could just kind of do our initial pull on some of the waste. And then once the rest of the solids are removed, we could start to apply the F10. So as I said, the directions give you the proper ratio to water. It's a diluted solution. We keep this one pretty strong. So that's an initial spray. Let that soak for about 30 seconds before I pull out the rest of some of the sand remnants in the corners and stuff. And then we're going to do a final application, because what the manufacturer recommends on this particular product is at the end you could kind of let a little bit of a residual stay in the enclosure, so that it continues to kill germs and bacteria over the subsequent hours and days. It's safe for the animal. You don't want to leave it, soaking wet and puddled up on the bottom. But a little bit of moistness and a couple of droplets here and there won't be a problem. And it'll continue to sanitize over the next couple of days. If you have a lot of hard water spots, you can use household white vinegar diluted to help break them down. On more really severe cases, you can use a razor blade to scrape that down. In this case, this tank really wasn't that old, so we didn't have a lot of hard water deposits to worry about. And once it's done, it's going to come out really nice. So right now I'm just kind of wiping down the F10, kind of getting under the ledges. I'm getting around the top trim of this particular tank, which happens to be a 20 long, with the screen top. And the screen top can get sprayed down and wiped down as well. And just have kind of a garbage bag that's handy. Could do one more application. Okay, so just to show you the finished product with the vinyl floor in there, the dishes and a decoration. As you can see, it's a nice, clean, simple setup. It's easy to clean. And these are our new baby beardeds that we eliminated the sand for, so it's much safer for them. and really happy with the way this came out. So that's it. Thanks for tuning in.